Hello and welcome. I'm really glad you're here. Whether you're listening while commuting, relaxing at home, walking outside, or getting ready for bed, you've already taken an important step toward becoming a better English listener. This audiobook isn't about memorizing hundreds of grammar rules or learning thousands of new vocabulary words. Instead, it's about changing the way your brain processes English. Many English learners spend years studying. They know grammar. They recognize many words. They can even read articles and write emails. But when they hear native speakers talking at normal speed, everything suddenly becomes confusing. If that sounds familiar, don't worry, you're not alone. The good news is that the problem usually isn't your English level. The real problem is how you've trained your brain to listen. Today, we're going to begin changing that. Imagine you're talking to someone from America, the UK, Canada, or Australia. They smile and ask, "Hey, how's it going?" You know every word separately. You know how, you know it, you know going, but somehow your brain freezes. Before you answer, something happens. Your brain starts translating. How means how, it means it, going means going. Then you try putting everything together in your own language. Only after translating do you understand. By then, the conversation has already moved on. The speaker is already saying the next sentence. You missed it. Does this happen to you? If it does, you're experiencing something millions of English learners experience every day. It's called mental translation. Mental translation feels helpful because it seems like you're understanding, but in reality, it's slowing you down. Imagine trying to watch a football match while pausing the game after every pass. You would never enjoy the match. You would always be behind. Listening to English works the same way. Speech keeps moving. If your brain stops to translate every sentence, it quickly falls behind. Soon you're not just one sentence behind, you're 3 sentences behind. Eventually, everything sounds like noise. Here's something interesting. When you hear your native language, you don't translate. Think about that for a moment. If someone says, "Good morning," do you think they said good, then morning, which means no? You immediately understand. The meaning appears instantly. There's no translation. There's no dictionary inside your head. Your brain connects sound directly with meaning. That's exactly how fluent English listeners understand English too. Not because they're smarter, not because they know every word, but because they trained their brain to connect English sounds directly to ideas. Let's do a simple experiment. Close your eyes if it's safe to do so. Now imagine a bright yellow banana. Can you see it? Notice something. Did you translate the word banana into your native language before imagining it? Probably not. Your brain immediately created the picture. That's because your brain naturally prefers images and ideas, not translations. The English Year method uses this natural ability. Instead of connecting English to another language, you connect English directly to pictures, actions, feelings, experiences, and meaning. This is exactly how children learn their first language. Think about a small child. A baby doesn't own a dictionary. Nobody explains grammar to them. Nobody tells them the difference between present perfect and past perfect. Instead, the baby hears thousands of hours of language, again and again and again. Slowly, patterns begin to appear. The baby starts recognizing sounds. Those sounds become familiar. Eventually, those sounds become meaning. Then come words, then phrases, then conversations. Children don't translate. They connect sound with experience. Adults can learn this way too. In fact, adults often learn faster because they already understand how communication works. The only challenge is breaking the habit of translation. Many learners believe, if I just learn more vocabulary, I'll understand fast English. Vocabulary is important. But vocabulary alone isn't enough. Imagine you know 10,000 English words. Now imagine a native speaker says, "Want to grab something to eat?" You might know every individual word, want, grab, something, eat, but when they're spoken quickly, "Want to grab something to eat?" it sounds completely different. That's because native speakers don't pronounce every word separately. Words connect, sounds disappear, letters change. This is normal spoken English, and your ears must learn these patterns. Here's another example. Listen to these 2 versions. I am going to call you later. Now listen again. I'm going to call you later. Same meaning, different sound. If you only learned English from textbooks, the second sentence might sound completely unfamiliar. But native speakers use these natural reductions every day. Our ears must become familiar with them. That's one goal of this audiobook. Another reason people struggle with listening is stress. Imagine you're speaking with someone, you're nervous, you don't want to make mistakes. As soon as they start talking, your brain begins thinking, "I hope I understand." What if I miss something? What should I answer? I'm not good enough. These thoughts compete with listening. Instead of paying attention to the speaker, you're listening to your own worries. The result? You miss even more information, then you feel less confident. It's a cycle. The more worried you become, the harder listening feels. Here's an important truth. You don't need to understand every single word. Native speakers don't, even in their own language. Sometimes they miss words because of noise. Sometimes someone speaks too quickly. Sometimes they don't catch every detail, but they still understand the message. Why? Because they focus on meaning, not perfection. This is a powerful habit. Instead of asking, what did every word mean? Ask, what was the main idea? Your brain becomes much faster. Let's practice. Imagine someone says, sorry, I'm late. Traffic was terrible. Even if you don't know every word, you can probably understand the message. The person arrived late. There was heavy traffic. That's enough. Communication happened. Perfect understanding isn't necessary. Meaning is what matters. The English Year method follows one simple principle. Train your ears before judging yourself. When babies learn language, nobody says, you've listened for 3 months. Why aren't you fluent? Learning takes exposure. The same is true for adults. Every minute you listen carefully, your brain changes. Scientists call this neuroplasticity. That simply means your brain is constantly building new connections. Every time you hear English naturally, those listening pathways become stronger, even when it feels like you're not improving. Improvement is happening underneath the surface. One day, you'll suddenly notice something. You'll understand an entire sentence without translating. Then another, then another. Those moments are exciting because they're proof that your brain is changing. As you continue through this audiobook, I want you to make one promise to yourself. Stop trying to translate every sentence. Instead, relax, listen, imagine pictures, focus on the message, accept that missing a few words is completely normal. Your goal isn't perfect listening. Your goal is faster understanding. Those are very different goals. From today onward, every listening session becomes training. Even if you understand only 50% today, that's okay. Tomorrow it may become 55, then 60, then 75. Progress in listening is gradual, but it is real. Stay patient, stay curious, and trust the process. In the first chapter, you discovered why translating every sentence into your native language slows down your listening. You also learned that fluent English listeners don't understand English because they translate faster. They understand because they connect English sounds directly to meaning. Now it's time to learn exactly how to do that. This is called the English Year method. It isn't a trick or a shortcut. It's a way of training your brain to process English naturally, just like you process your first language. The good news is that anyone can learn this skill. You don't need a perfect accent. You don't need to know every grammar rule. You don't even need to know every word. What you need is the right kind of listening. Practice. Let's begin with an important question. What happens when someone speaks English? Imagine a friend says, "Are you free this evening?" Your ears hear the sounds, your brain recognizes familiar patterns, then your brain connects those sounds to meaning. Finally, you answer. This process happens in less than a second for fluent speakers, but for many learners, there is one extra step. They hear the sentence, then they translate it, then they understand it, then they think of a reply in their own language, then they translate the reply into English. Finally, they speak. Can you see the difference? Fluent listeners use 3 steps. Many learners use 6. Those extra steps make every conversation feel stressful and slow. Our goal is simple. Remove the translation step. Think of your brain like a road. The road you use every day becomes wide and smooth. Cars travel quickly, but a road that is rarely used becomes narrow and rough. Your English listening pathway is the same. If you've spent years translating, your translation road is very wide. Every English sentence automatically travels down that road. Today, we're building a new road, a direct road. English sounds directly to meaning. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Let's try a small exercise. Imagine I say, coffee. What appeared in your mind? Maybe you saw a hot cup. Maybe you imagined the smell. Maybe you remembered drinking coffee this morning. That's exactly what we want. Your brain didn't need a dictionary.it created meaning instantly. Now imagine I say, rain. Perhaps you see dark clouds. An umbrella, wet streets, the sound of water. Again, your brain connected a word to an image. This is natural learning. Now let's make it a little longer. Listen to this sentence. The little boy is riding a blue bicycle. Don't translate. Instead, picture it. Can you see the boy? Can you see the bicycle? Is he smiling? Is he riding through a park? Excellent. You understood the sentence without translating every word. Your imagination became your teacher. The English Year method uses 4 simple habits. Let's look at each one. Habit 1. Listen for meaning. Don't chase every word. Instead, ask yourself, what is this person talking about? Imagine someone says, I missed the bus, so I had to walk to work. Maybe you don't know the word missed, but you hear bus, you hear walk, you hear work. Now your brain guesses the situation. The person couldn't take the bus, they walked instead. You understood the message. That's successful listening. Habit 2. Listen in chunks. Native speakers don't think one word at a time. They hear groups of words. For example, at the end of the day, don't divide it into 6 separate words. Hear it as one chunk. Another example, a cup of coffee. Again, one chunk, not 4 separate words. As you continue listening to English every day, your brain starts recognizing these chunks automatically. This makes listening much faster. Let's practice. Repeat silently after each chunk as soon as possible. Good. By the way, excellent. I don't think so. Very nice. See you later. Again, take your time. These common expressions appear in conversations every day. When you hear them as one unit instead of several words, listening becomes much easier. Habit 3. Expect connected speech. Native speakers connect words together. Listen carefully. What are you doing? In fast speech, it often sounds like, what are you doing? Another example, did you eat? Sounds more like, did you eat? Or, could you help me? Becomes, could ya help me? At first, these sound completely different, but after hearing them many times, your ears begin recognizing them naturally. This is why listening every day is more important than memorizing long vocabulary lists. Habit 4. Stay relaxed. Many learners panic when they miss one word. Imagine you're watching a movie. You don't understand one sentence. What do? Some learners stop listening. They spend the next 20 seconds thinking about that one sentence. Meanwhile, the movie continues. Now they've missed 5 more sentences. Instead, let it go. Keep listening. Often, the next sentence explains the first one. Context is your friend. Let's practice this idea. Listen to this short story. I woke up late this morning. I couldn't find my keys, so I rushed out of the house without breakfast. I finally reached the office 20 minutes late. Maybe you didn't understand every word. That's okay. Can you answer these questions? Did the person wake up early? No. Did they have breakfast? No. Were they late for work? Yes. See? You understood the story without understanding every single word. That's real listening. Here's another exercise. Don't translate. Simply picture what you hear. A young woman is sitting in a quiet CAF. She's reading a book while drinking a cup of tea. Outside, people are walking in the rain. Can you imagine the scene? Perhaps you see a small table, a warm drink, large windows, people with umbrellas. Notice how your brain creates pictures almost automatically. Pictures are much faster than translation. Now, let's talk about patience. Many learners expect instant improvement. They listen for 10 minutes and think, I'm still not fluent. Imagine going to the gym once and expecting bigger muscles the next day. It doesn't work that way. Listening is exercise for your brain. Every session strengthens your listening ability, even when you don't notice it immediately. One day you'll suddenly realize, I understood that sentence without translating. That's not luck, that's training. Here's a daily challenge for you. For the next 7 days, spend 15 minutes listening to English. During those 15 minutes, make one simple rule. No translating. Whenever you catch yourself translating, gently stop, return your attention to the speaker, focus on pictures, focus on ideas, focus on the overall message. At first, your brain will want to go back to translating. That's normal. Just keep bringing it back. Every time you do, you're strengthening your English listening pathway. Remember this simple sentence. Don't translate. Understand. Say it again in your mind. Don't translate. Understand. This is the heart of the English Year method. The more you practice it, the more natural English will begin to sound. One day, you'll notice something wonderful. Instead of hearing separate words, you'll hear complete ideas instead of translating. You'll simply understand, and that's the moment when English starts to feel like a language you can truly live in. You've already learned why translating slows you down, and you've discovered the English year method. Now we're going to take the next step. In this chapter, you'll learn how your brain actually learns to recognize spoken English. This is exciting because once you understand how your brain works, you'll stop feeling frustrated every time you miss a sentence. You'll realize something important. Your brain isn't failing, it's learning, and learning takes repetition. Let's start with a simple question. Have you ever listened to a song so many times that you could sing it without looking at the lyrics? At first, you probably understood very little. Maybe you only recognized a few words, but after listening again and again, something changed. The words became clearer, the rhythm became familiar. Soon, you could predict the next line before you even heard it. Why? Because your brain had learned the pattern. Listening to English works exactly the same way. The more patterns your brain recognizes, the less effort listening requires. Think about driving a car. The first time you drove, you probably thought about every small action. Hands on the steering wheel, check the mirrors, press the brake, use the indicator. Everything required your full attention. But after months of practice, driving became automatic. You didn't stop thinking. Your brain simply became more efficient. Listening develops in the same way. At first, every sentence feels like hard work. Later, your brain begins recognizing familiar sounds without conscious effort. Here's another example. Imagine someone says, "How are you doing today?" A beginner hears 6 separate words. How are you doing today? A fluent listener hears one complete idea. How are you doing today? One smooth phrase. That's the difference. Fluent listeners don't process words one by one. They process groups of words. These groups are called language chunks. Let's practice hearing chunks. Listen to each phrase as one unit. I'll see you tomorrow. Again, I'll see you tomorrow. Don't separate the words. Hear the whole sentence as one piece. Now another. What do you think? Again, what do you think? Excellent. Now try. I don't know. Again, I don't know. These expressions appear thousands of times in everyday conversations. The more often you hear them, the faster your brain recognizes them. Now let's talk about something that surprises many learners. Native speakers don't pronounce every word clearly. In fact, they often shorten words without realizing it. Listen carefully. What are you doing? In careful English, every word is clear, but in natural conversation, it often sounds like, "What are you doing?" The words blend together. Here's another one. Did you see it? Often becomes, "Did you see it?" Or, "Did you eat?" Becomes, "Did you eat?" At first, these don't sound like the textbook version. That's why many learners think native speakers are speaking too fast, but they're usually not speaking much faster. They're simply connecting words naturally. Let's hear a few more examples. I want to go, becomes, I want to go. Going to becomes, gonna, give me, becomes, gimme, let me, becomes, lemme. These shortened forms are everywhere. Movies, podcasts, television, interviews, conversations. The more you hear them, the more familiar they become. Here's something important. Don't force yourself to use these expressions immediately. First, learn to recognize them. Understanding comes before speaking. If your ears can recognize natural speech, your mouth will eventually copy it. Listening always leads the way. Now let's do an imagination exercise. Close your eyes. If you're in a safe place, imagine you're walking into a busy coffee shop. You hear people chatting. Someone laughs. A barista calls out, "Large latte for Sarah." Another customer says, "Can I have a cappuccino, please?" Someone nearby asks, "Is this seat taken?" You don't need to understand every conversation. You simply recognize familiar patterns. Coffee, order, seat, people talking. Your brain naturally builds the scene. This is exactly how listening develops. You understand the situation first. The details become clearer with practice. Now let's talk about prediction. Your brain loves predicting what comes next. For example, if someone says, "Good, what word do you expect?" Maybe morning, maybe afternoon, maybe luck. Your brain is already guessing. That's a good thing. Prediction helps you understand fast English. Let's try another. I'm really. What comes next? Happy? Tired? Hungry? Busy? You don't know exactly, but your brain is preparing for several possibilities. Fluent listeners constantly make these predictions without realizing it. Let's practice with a short conversation. Person A says, "Hey, are you free this weekend?" Person B replies, "I think so. Why?" Person A says, "I'm planning a trip to the beach," even before hearing the last sentence. Your brain probably expected an invitation. That's prediction. It's one of the fastest listening skills you can develop. Now let's look at another important habit. Don't focus only on words. Listen to the speaker's voice, their emotion, their tone. Imagine someone says, "Oh, that's wonderful." If they sound excited, you know it's good news. Now imagine they say the same words with a flat, tired voice. "Oh, that's wonderful." Now it sounds sarcastic. The words stayed the same. The meaning changed because of the tone. Listening isn't only about vocabulary, it's about understanding people. Here's another exercise. Imagine someone says, "I can't believe it." Can you hear excitement? Maybe surprise, perhaps happiness, or disappointment. The emotion changes the meaning. As you continue practicing English, pay attention to how people sound, not just what they say. Now I'd like you to do something very simple. The next time you watch an English video, don't pause every few seconds. Don't open a dictionary immediately. Instead, ask yourself 3 questions. What is happening? Who is speaking? How do they feel? These questions train your brain to focus on communication instead of perfection. Let's listen to one final story. Emma arrived at the train station 10 minutes early. She bought a cup of coffee and sat on a bench. While she waited, she watched people carrying suitcases, talking with friends, and checking the departure board. Soon, she heard the announcement for her train and smiled as she stood up. Now think about the story. Where was Emma? At a train station. What did she buy? Coffee. Was she late? No. How did she feel when her train was announced? Happy. Notice something. You probably understood the story without translating every sentence. Instead, your mind created a movie. That is exactly what we want. English should become a movie in your mind, not a puzzle that needs translating. Before we finish this chapter, remember these 5 ideas. First, your brain learns through repetition. Second, listen for chunks, not individual words. Third, expect words to connect in natural speech. Fourth, use prediction to stay ahead of the conversation. And finally, imagine the scene instead of translating it. These 5 habits will gradually transform the way you listen every time you hear English. You're strengthening your listening brain. You may not notice the change today. You may not notice it tomorrow, but one day, you'll hear someone speaking quickly and realize, "I understood that," without translating, without stopping, without fear. And that moment will remind you that every minute of practice has been worth it. In the next chapter, we'll begin listening to real-life conversations. You'll learn how native speakers communicate in everyday situations, such as greeting friends, ordering food, asking for directions, and talking at work. You'll discover how to understand these conversations naturally, even when people speak quickly. Conversation 1. Meeting someone. Imagine you're at a company office on your first day. A colleague walks over and smiles. "Hi, you must be Alex." "Yes, that's me. I'm Sarah. Nice to meet you." "Nice to meet you too. Where are you from?" "I'm from India." "Oh, that's great. How long have you been here?" "About 3 months. How are you finding the city?" "I like it. Everyone has been very friendly." "That's wonderful. If you need any help, just let me know. Thank you." "I really appreciate it." Now let's think about the conversation. Did Sarah know Alex before today? No, she was introducing herself. What was the main purpose of the conversation? To welcome someone and start a friendly relationship. Notice that the questions were simple. Where are you from? How long have you been here? How are you finding the city? These are common questions in everyday English. You don't need to memorize them. You need to hear them often enough that they become familiar. Listening tip: when people first meet, they usually ask about your name, where you're from, your job, how long you've been somewhere, your interests. Once you recognize the topic, understanding becomes much easier. Conversation 2. At a coffee shop. Now imagine you're standing in line at a coffee shop. "Good morning. What can I get for you?" "Hi, I'd like a medium latte, please. Would you like anything to eat?" "Yes, I'll have a chocolate muffin." "Anything else?" "No, that's all. For here or to go?" "To go, please. That'll be $8.50. Here you are. Thank you. Have a great day." "You too." Now think about the conversation. Did the customer ask for directions? No. Did they order food and a drink? Yes. Even if you didn't catch every word, you probably understood the situation within the first few seconds. That's because your brain recognized the context. Context is one of the strongest tools in listening. Conversation 3, at work. Imagine you're in the office. Morning, David. Morning. Did you finish the report? Almost. I just need to check a few numbers. No problem. Can you send it before lunch? Yes, I'll email it around 11. Perfect. Thanks. You're welcome. Let's think about it. What were they talking about? A report? Did David finish it? Not yet. When will he send it? Before lunch. Notice that work conversations are often short and direct. Native speakers don't always use long sentences. Many conversations are made of simple ideas. Conversation 4, asking for directions. Imagine you're visiting a new city. Excuse me, yes? Could you tell me how to get to the train station? Of course. Go straight for 2 blocks, then turn left at the traffic lights. You'll see the station on your right. Is it far? No, it's about a 5-minute walk. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Even if you don't know every word, notice the important information. Go straight, turn left, 5-minute walk, train station. These key words tell you almost everything you need to know. You don't have to understand every sentence perfectly. You simply need the important information. Listening tip: when listening, ask yourself, what information is important? If someone is giving directions, listen for left, right, straight, next to, across from, near, far. These words carry the meaning. Conversation 5, a phone call. Imagine your phone rings. Hello. Hi Emma, it's Jake. Oh, hi. How are you? I'm doing well, thanks. I was wondering if you're free this evening. I think so. What's up? A few of us are having dinner after work. That sounds nice. Would you like to join us? I'd love to. Great. We'll meet at 7. Perfect. See you then. See you. Notice something. The conversation wasn't difficult. It was natural. People invited someone to dinner. Native speakers often use short, relaxed expressions like, "What's up? Sounds good. No problem. See you." These expressions appear again and again in everyday life. The more often you hear them, the faster your brain recognizes them. Conversation 6, at the supermarket. Imagine you're shopping for groceries. Excuse me, where can I find the rice? It's in aisle 5, thank you. You're welcome. A few minutes later. Did you find everything you were looking for? Yes, thank you. Would you like a bag? Yes, please. That'll be $32. Here you go. Have a nice day. You too. Again, think about the situation. Nobody used difficult vocabulary. Real-life English is often much simpler than learners expect. The challenge isn't difficult words. The challenge is hearing familiar words at natural speed. Practice, listen without translating. Now, let's do a short listening exercise. Just listen in your mind and imagine the scene. A man walks into a bookstore. He looks around for a few minutes before asking an employee where he can find books about history. The employee smiles, points toward the second floor, and tells him to take the elevator. A few minutes later, the man finds exactly what he was looking for. Now answer these questions. Where is the man? In a bookstore. What is he looking for? History books. Who helps him? An employee. Did you need to translate every sentence? Probably not. Your brain created a picture. That's the English year method in action. Common expressions you'll hear every day. Let's listen to some expressions that native speakers use all the time. Repeat them silently after me. No worries, I'll be right back. Take care. Have a nice weekend. Sounds great. That's a good idea. I don't think so. Let's go. Give me a minute. I'm on my way. Excellent. Don't think about grammar. Think about the situation where people use these expressions. That's how they'll become part of your listening vocabulary. Your daily listening challenge tomorrow: when you watch an English video, listen for just one thing. Not every word, just the situation. Ask yourself, where are the people? What are they doing? Why are they talking? How do they feel? If you can answer those 4 questions, you've understood the conversation even if you missed a few words. And that's real progress. Before we finish this chapter, remember these key ideas. Every conversation has a purpose. Find the purpose first. Use the situation to help you understand. Listen for important words instead of every word. Imagine the scene like a movie. And most importantly, trust your ears. Every conversation you listen to is another step toward understanding fast English. Naturally, the more real conversations you hear, the more your brain begins to recognize patterns automatically. One day, you'll notice that you're no longer trying to keep up with English. Instead, English will begin to flow naturally into your mind. And that's when listening becomes enjoyable. In the next chapter, you'll learn one of the most powerful skills in language learning thinking in English. You'll discover simple exercises that help you stop translating completely and begin using English naturally inside your own mind. This is the bridge between understanding English and truly living in English. Let's continue your journey. Now we're going to develop one of the most powerful habits of fluent English speakers. We're going to learn how to think in English.at first. This idea may sound difficult. Many learners believe they need to become fluent before they can think in English, but the truth is exactly the opposite. You become fluent because you start thinking in English. It's a skill that grows little by little, every single day, and today you'll begin building it. Why we translate? Let's imagine something familiar. You hear someone ask, "What did you do yesterday?" Your brain might follow this path. First, you hear the English sentence, then you translate it into your native language. Then you think of your answer in your native language. Finally, you translate your answer back into English before speaking. All of this happens in just a few seconds, but it feels slow and tiring. Now imagine a different path. You hear, "What did you do yesterday?" Immediately, you remember your day. You see yourself waking up, going to work, meeting friends, cooking dinner. Instead of translating words, you remember experiences. Then you answer in simple English. "I worked all day. After work, I cooked dinner and watched a movie." Notice what changed. You didn't think in another language first. You thought in pictures and memories. That's the beginning of thinking in English. Your brain loves pictures. A simple exercise: close your eyes. If you're in a safe place, imagine an apple. Can you see it? What color is it? Is it red, green, yellow? Can you imagine holding it? Can you imagine taking a bite? Now say one sentence in your mind. "This is a red apple." Good. You didn't need to translate. You simply looked at the picture in your mind and described it. That's exactly what we're training. Exercise 1. Describe what you see. Look around your room. Choose one object. Maybe it's a chair. Maybe it's a phone. Maybe it's a window. Now, describe it in simple English. Don't worry about perfect grammar. Just think. The chair is black. It's next to the table. It looks comfortable. Now, choose another object. The phone is on the desk. It's charging. The screen is off. Excellent. Simple. English is enough. The goal isn't to sound impressive. The goal is to stop translating. Exercise 2. Describe your day. Think about your morning. Try to describe it silently in English. I woke up at 6:30. I brushed my teeth. I made breakfast. I drank coffee. I drove to work. Notice something. These are short sentences. That's perfect. Fluent thinking begins with simple ideas. As your confidence grows, your sentences naturally become longer. Exercise 3. Ask yourself questions. No, let's practice a conversation with yourself. I'll ask a question. Pause for a moment and answer silently in English. Ready? What's your favorite food? Pause. Now answer. Where do you live? Pause. What's the weather like today? Pause. What are you going to do tomorrow? Pause. Who is your best friend? Pause. What makes you happy? Pause. Wonderful. Even if your answers were very simple, you were thinking in English. That's real progress. Don't worry about mistakes. Many learners stop thinking because they're afraid of making mistakes. They think, what if my grammar isn't correct? Here's something important to remember when you're thinking. Nobody is judging you. Your thoughts are your practice room. Children make thousands of mistakes while learning their first language. Nobody expects perfection. The same is true for you. The goal isn't perfect English. The goal is active English. Every sentence you create strengthens your brain. Exercise 4. Tell yourself a story. Imagine you're looking out of a window. You see a young man walking down the street. He has a backpack. He's holding an umbrella. He looks at his watch. He begins walking faster. Now tell yourself a story. He's probably going to work. Maybe he's late. Perhaps it's going to rain. I think he's trying to catch a bus. Notice that there isn't one correct answer. You're simply using English to imagine. That's exactly how fluent thinking develops. Replace translation with observation through your day. Notice what you're doing if you're washing your hands. Think, I'm washing my hands if you're making tea. Think, I'm boiling water, I'm making tea. It smells good if you're walking outside. Think, the weather is warm, there are many cars, the sky is clear. These tiny moments add up. 5 seconds here, 10 seconds there. By the end of the day, you've spent several minutes thinking naturally in English. Exercise 5. Think before you sleep tonight, before you go to bed. Spend 2 or 3 minutes thinking about your day in English. Ask yourself questions. What happened today? What did I enjoy? What was difficult? What did I learn? What am I going to do tomorrow? Don't worry, if you forget a word, use another word. For example, if you can't remember the word umbrella, you might think, the thing people use when it rains, communication, is more important than perfect. Vocabulary, your inner voice of Irione has an inner voice. It's the quiet voice inside your mind. It helps you make decisions. It reminds you of things. It asks questions. Now, imagine changing that voice little by little. Instead of thinking, I need to buy milk, in your native language, try thinking, I need to buy milk, in English. It first, it may feel unusual. After a few weeks, it begins to feel natural. The more often your inner voice uses English, the less you depend on translation. A short guided practice. Let's practice together. Take a slow, comfortable breath. Imagine you're walking through a beautiful park. The sun is shining, the air is fresh. You can hear birds singing. Children are playing nearby. People are walking their dogs. You smile and think, it's a beautiful day. The weather is perfect. I feel relaxed. I'm happy to be here. This is peaceful. Notice how you created thoughts directly in English. There was no need to translate. You simply experience the moment. A daily 5-minute habit. There's a challenge for the next 7 days. Spend just 5 minutes each day thinking only in English. Choose one activity: cooking, walking, cleaning, driving, shopping. During those 5 minutes, don't translate. Simply describe what you see, hear, and feel. If you forget a word, keep going. Don't stop. Your brain will become faster each day. Remember, thinking in English doesn't happen overnight. It grows through small daily habits. 1 sentence becomes 2, 2 become 10, 10 become a conversation. Eventually, you'll notice something wonderful. You'll hear English, understand it, and answer without translating. That moment doesn't arrive because of magic. It arrives because you've trained your brain every single day, and that's exactly what you're doing now. So be patient with yourself. Celebrate small improvements. Every sentence you think in English is another step toward fluency. Every conversation you imagine is preparing you for a real conversation. Every minute you spend thinking in English makes your listening faster, your speaking smoother, and your confidence stronger. You've come a long way. You've learned how to stop translating, how to recognize English naturally, how to think in English, and how to understand everyday conversations. Now it's time to bring everything together through one of the most enjoyable and effective learning methods: stories. Why stories? Because your brain loves stories. You may forget a list of 20 vocabulary words by tomorrow, but you'll often remember a story for years. Stories create emotion. They create pictures. They create connections. And when your brain is emotionally connected, learning becomes much easier. Today, we'll listen to several short stories. After each story, we'll talk about the main idea and practice understanding without translating. As always, don't worry about every word, just imagine the scenes. Let's begin. Story 1. The Lost Walt. Daniel was walking home after work on a warm Friday evening. The streets were busy, people were talking, laughing, and enjoying the beautiful weather. As Daniel reached a small park, he noticed something on a wooden bench. It was a brown wallet. He looked around, but nobody seemed to be searching for it. Daniel picked it up carefully. Inside, there was some money, a few bank cards, and an identification card with the owner's name and address. Instead of keeping it, Daniel decided to return it. He walked to the address written on the card. A few minutes later, an elderly man opened the door. When the man saw the wallet, his eyes became wide with surprise. "I've been looking everywhere for this," he said. Daniel smiled and handed it to him. The man thanked him again and again. Before Daniel left, the man said, "The world needs more honest people like you." Daniel walked home feeling happier than before. Now let's think about the story. Did Daniel lose the wallet? No, he found it. Did he keep the money? No, he returned everything. How did the owner feel? Relieved, grateful, happy. The lesson is simple. Small acts of honesty can make a big difference. Now imagine the story. Again, picture Daniel walking through the park. Picture the wallet on the bench. Picture the smile on the elderly man's face. Notice that you're remembering images, not translated sentences. That's exactly what we're training. Story 2. The first day at work, Emma had just started a new job. She was excited, but she was also nervous. Everything was new. The office, the people, the computer system, even the coffee machine seemed confusing when she arrived. Her manager greeted her with a warm smile. "Welcome to the team," he said during the morning. Several co-workers introduced themselves. Everyone was friendly. At lunchtime, one of her colleagues invited her to eat together. They talked about hobbies, travel, and their favorite foods. By the end of the day, Emma realized something. Starting a new job wasn't as frightening as she had imagined. She went home feeling confident about the future. Think about the story. How did Emma feel at the beginning? Nervous. How did she feel at the end? Confident. What changed? The people around her were kind and welcoming. Sometimes our fears disappear once we experience something ourselves. Listening exercise with it. Looking back. Answer these questions in your mind. Was Emma's manager unfriendly? No. Did she eat lunch alone? No. Did she enjoy her first day? Yes. Excellent. Your brain is learning to remember meaning instead of individual words. Story 3. The morning train. Every morning, Liam took the same train to work. He always sat near the window. He enjoyed watching the city wake up. One rainy morning, an elderly woman entered the train carrying several heavy shopping bags. There were no empty seats. Without thinking twice, Liam stood up and offered his seat. The woman smiled warmly. "Thank you," she said. "You've made my morning much easier." Several passengers noticed the kind gesture. One person smiled, another nodded with appreciation. Although Liam arrived at work exactly as he did every other day, something felt different. A small act of kindness had improved not only the woman's day, but also his own. Now picture the train. Can you hear the doors opening? Can you imagine the rain outside the window? Can you see Liam standing and offering his seat? These pictures make English easier to understand because your brain remembers scenes much better than isolated words. Story 4. Learning something new. Carlos always wanted to learn how to play the guitar. For years, he told himself he was too busy. One evening, he finally decided to begin. The first lesson was difficult. His fingers hurt. The music didn't sound right. Sometimes he felt frustrated, but he didn't quit. Every evening, he practiced for 20 minutes. After 1 month, he could play his first complete song. 6 months later, he played music for his family. Everyone clapped. Carlos smiled. He realized that progress doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from practicing consistently. Think about that lesson for a moment. It's true for learning music, it's true for learning sports, and it's certainly true for learning English. Every listening session is another small step forward. Story 5. A surprise conversation. Sophia was waiting for a bus when a tourist approached her. "Excuse me," he said. "Could you help me?" Sophia felt nervous. She knew some English, but she wasn't confident. The tourist asked, "Is this the right bus for the museum?" Sophia took a deep breath. She smiled. "Yes," she answered. "It stops right in front of the museum." The tourist thanked her. They talked for another 5 minutes. When the bus arrived, Sophia couldn't stop smiling. She had just finished her first real conversation in English with a stranger. She wasn't perfect. She made a few grammar mistakes. She forgot a couple of words, but the conversation was successful. Communication happened, and that was enough. Many English learners dream about this moment, the first real conversation, the first time they realize, "I can actually do this." That moment doesn't arrive because you suddenly become perfect. It arrives because you become brave enough to use what you already know. Listening, reflection. Let's review all 5 stories. Who found a wallet? Daniel. Who started a new job? Emma. Who offered a seat on the train? Liam. Who learned to play the guitar? Carlos. Who spoke English with a tourist? Sophia. Notice how easily you remembered the stories. That's because your brain remembers people, emotions, and events much better than grammar rules. Your daily story habit starting today. Spend 10 minutes reading or listening to one simple English story every day after the story ends. Don't try to remember every sentence. Instead, ask yourself these 5 questions. Who was the main character? Where did the story happen? What problem did they face? How was the problem solved? What lesson did the story teach? If you can answer those questions, you've understood the story. That's successful. Listening. Final thought stories are one of the fastest ways to build your English listening skills. They teach vocabulary. Naturally, they help you recognize sentence patterns. They train your imagination, and most importantly, they teach your brain to connect English directly with meaning instead of translation. Every story you listen to strengthens your English. Yeah, every character you meet becomes another memory connected to English, and every minute you spend listening brings you one step closer to understanding fast, natural conversations with confidence. Many English learners say the same thing. I can understand my English teacher, but I can't understand native speakers. If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. The reason isn't usually vocabulary. The reason is that native speakers don't speak the way textbooks are written. They connect words, they shorten sounds, they change their rhythm, they stress important words, and sometimes they even leave words out completely. The good news is that these patterns are not random. Once you recognize them, fast English begins to sound much slower. Today, you'll train your ears to notice these patterns. Let's begin. English is like music. Think about your favorite song. When you first heard it, it might have sounded fast, but after listening 10 or 20 times, it became easy to follow. You could almost predict the next line. Why? Because your brain learned the rhythm. English works the same way. Native speakers don't speak one word at a time. They speak in a rhythm. Listen to these 2 versions. I am going to call you. Now listen again. I'm gonna call you. The second version sounds faster, but it isn't much faster. The words are simply connected. Your ears are hearing one smooth rhythm instead of several separate words. Connected speech means that one word flows into the next. Let's practice. Listen to this sentence. What are you doing? A textbook says, what are you doing? But a native speaker often says, what are you doing? Again, what are you doing? Now another one. Did you eat? Natural speech becomes, did you eat? Again, did you eat? Here's another. Could you help me? Becomes, could ya help me? Notice that the meaning never changes, only the sound changes. Your ears don't need to memorize these patterns, they simply need to hear them. Many times, reduced words. Native speakers often reduce common words. Let's listen. Want to becomes, wanna, I'm gonna leave now, instead of, I'm going to leave now. Another example, got to often becomes, gotta, I gotta go, instead of, I have got to go. Now another, give me, becomes, gimme, give me a minute, sounds like, gimme a minute, and one more, let me, becomes, lemme, lemme check. These forms appear every day in conversations, movies, podcasts, and TV shows. The more often you hear them, the more natural they become. Stress the important word. Here's something interesting. Native speakers don't give every word the same importance. Some words are strong, some words are weak. Listen carefully. I bought a new phone yesterday. Which words stand out? Bought new phone yesterday. Words like it become much softer. Now another example. We're going to the beach tomorrow. The important words are going, beach, tomorrow. Your ears should focus on these key words. Even if you miss a few small words, you'll still understand the message. Intonation means the rise and fall of the voice. Imagine someone says, really? If their voice rises, really? It sounds like a question. If their voice falls, really? It sounds like they're making a statement. Now imagine someone says, that's amazing. With excitement, you immediately understand their emotion. Now imagine they say, that's amazing, in a flat voice. The words are the same, but the meaning feels completely different. Always listen to emotion as well as vocabulary. Listening practice. 1. Imagine 2 co-workers talking. Morning. Morning. Busy today? Very. I've got 3 meetings this morning. Good luck. Thanks. This conversation is short, simple, natural. Notice that nobody uses long Perfect textbook sentences. Real conversations are often made of small pieces. Train your ears to understand these pieces quickly. Listening practice 2. Imagine two friends. Hey, want to grab some coffee? Sure. What time? How about 3? Sounds good. See you then. That's a complete conversation. Very short, very natural. If you hear this in real life, don't translate. Picture two friends meeting at a CAF. The meaning becomes clear immediately. Listening practice 3. Imagine you're at work. Did you finish the report? Almost. I'll send it this afternoon. No rush. Thanks. Again. Notice the reduced form. Did ya instead of did you. Once your ears recognize these sounds, conversations become much easier. Shadow listening though. We're going to practice something called shadowing. Shadowing is one of the fastest ways to improve listening. Here's how it works. Listen first, then repeat. Immediately after the speaker. Don't worry if your pronunciation isn't perfect. The goal is to copy the rhythm. Let's try. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Pause. Now repeat. Excellent. Next. 1. I don't think that's a good idea. Pause. Repeat. Very good. Now another. Could you say that again, please? Pause. Repeat. Wonderful. When you shadow English, your ears and your mouth begin working together. Over time, you'll understand spoken English much more quickly. A real-life scene. Imagine you're standing in line at a busy airport. You hear announcements, people talking, children laughing, suitcases rolling across the floor. Then you hear, Flight 248 to Singapore is now boarding at gate 12. You don't need to understand every sound in the airport. You only need the important information. Flight number, destination, gate number. This is how real listening works. Your brain naturally filters unnecessary information. It focuses on what matters. Don't panic when you miss something. Is a habit that fluent listeners have. If they miss one word, they keep listening. They don't stop. Imagine you're watching a movie. A character says something you don't catch. If you pause the movie every 10 seconds, you'll never enjoy it. Instead, keep watching. Usually, the next sentence explains everything. The same is true in conversations. Keep moving forward. Trust the context. Daily listening. Calendarimaro. Choose a short English video, maybe a podcast, maybe an interview, maybe a news clip. Listen once without subtitles. Don't stop. Don't rewind. Just listen. Then ask yourself these questions. Who was speaking? What were they talking about? Were they happy, serious, excited, or worried? What was the main message? If you can answer those questions, your listening was successful. You don't need 100% understanding to communicate effectively. Remember these 5 items before we finish this chapter. Let's review the most important lessons. First, native speakers connect words together. Second, they reduce common words like going to and want to. Third, they stress important words more than small grammar words. Fourth, their voice and emotion help you understand meaning. And fifth, don't stop listening because of one unfamiliar word. Keep going. Trust the conversation. Trust your ears. Every day you spend listening to natural English makes these patterns more familiar. One day, you'll watch a movie or have a conversation and suddenly realize something. The speech doesn't sound impossibly fast anymore. The words begin to separate naturally. The rhythm feels familiar. The meaning arrives almost instantly. And you'll smile because you'll remember where you started. Not understanding, translating everything, feeling frustrated. Now, you're training your ears the way fluent listeners do, and that's a skill that will stay with you for life. By reaching this point, you've already done something many English learners never do. You've stayed consistent, you've listened with patience, and most importantly, you've started changing the way your brain understands English. Remember, this isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning of a new habit. From today onward, every conversation, every podcast, every movie, and every English video becomes another opportunity to strengthen your English ear. Let's finish this audiobook by building a daily routine that will keep your progress growing. The 30-minute English ear workout. You don't need 3 hours every day. You don't need expensive courses. You don't need to memorize thousands of vocabulary words overnight. You simply need a routine that you can follow consistently. Here's a simple 30-minute plan. Part 1. 5 minutes listen without pressure. Choose an English podcast, audiobook, short story, or YouTube video. For the first 5 minutes, don't pause. Don't rewind. Don't use subtitles. Just listen. Your only goal is to understand the general idea. Ask yourself, who is speaking? What are they talking about? How do they feel? Where are they? That's enough. Remember, you're training your ears, not taking an exam. Part 2, 10 minutes. Listen again, now play the same audio again. This time, notice familiar words and common expressions. You might hear, by the way, I'll see you later. No problem. Sounds good. Take care. Don't try to catch every word. Simply notice how words connect together. You'll be surprised by how much more you understand the second time. Part 3, 10 minutes. Shadow the speaker. Now comes one of the most powerful exercises. Play one sentence. Pause. Repeat it aloud. Try to copy the rhythm, the speed, the pronunciation, the emotion. Don't worry about having a perfect accent. Your goal is to sound natural, not perfect. For example, speaker, I'll call you after work. You repeat, I'll call you after work, again and again. Little by little, your mouth begins moving the same way your ears are learning to listen. Part 4, 5 minutes. Think in English. Finish your practice by thinking in English. Describe your room. Describe your plans. Describe your day. For example, I'm sitting at my desk. I'm listening to English. I feel more confident. Tomorrow I'll practice again. Keep your thoughts simple. Simple English builds fluent English. What to do when you don't understand? Every learner has difficult days. Some days English feels easy. Other days, everything sounds fast again. That's completely normal. Learning is not a straight line. Imagine climbing a mountain. Sometimes the path is steep. Sometimes it's flat. Sometimes you stop to rest. But every step still moves you forward. So if you don't understand today's podcast, don't quit. Listen again tomorrow. Your brain is still learning, even when it doesn't feel like it. Build an English environment. You don't need to live in an English-speaking country to hear English every day. You can create your own English environment. Listen to English while cooking, while walking, while driving, while exercising, while cleaning your room. The more your brain hears English naturally, the more familiar it becomes. Think of English as background music for your day. Even if you're not paying full attention all the time, your ears are becoming more comfortable with the sounds. Celebrate small wins. Many learners only celebrate fluency, but fluency is built from hundreds of small victories. Celebrate when you understand a new phrase. Celebrate when you follow a short conversation. Celebrate when you watch a video without subtitles. Celebrate when you answer a question without translating. These moments matter. They are proof that your English ear is growing stronger. Your new mindset from today, replace these thoughts. Instead of saying, English is too fast, say, my ears are getting stronger every day. Instead of saying, I don't understand anything, say, I understand more than I did yesterday. Instead of saying, I'll never be fluent, say, I'm becoming more fluent every time I listen. Your mindset shapes your progress. Believe in steady improvement, not instant perfection. One final exercise. Let's finish with one last listening visualization. Close your eyes if you're in a safe place. Imagine yourself 6 months from now. You're sitting in a CAF. A traveler walks over and asks, excuse me, is this seat available? You smile naturally. Yes, of course. Thank you. They sit down. After a few moments, they ask, where are you from? You answer confidently. You continue talking. You laugh together. You don't translate. You don't panic. You don't search for every word. You simply listen. You simply understand. And you simply respond. The conversation feels natural. Not because your English is perfect, but because you've trained your ears to understand English as English. Now imagine yourself watching an English movie. This time, you don't need subtitles for every sentence. You catch the jokes. You understand the emotions. You recognize familiar expressions. You enjoy the story instead of worrying about every word. That's the future you're building. One listening session at a time. A message to you before we say goodbye. I want you to remember something. Learning English is not a race. Don't compare yourself to someone who has studied for 10 years. Don't compare yourself to native speakers. Compare yourself only to the person you were yesterday. If you understand one more sentence today than you understood last week, you're improving. If you can think in English for 5 minutes today instead of 1 minute last month, you're improving. Every small step matters. Progress is often quiet. You may not notice it every day, but one day someone will speak English to you, and you'll realize you understood without translating. That moment won't happen by accident. It will happen because of every minute you've spent listening, imagining, repeating, and believing in yourself. Final words: thank you for spending these 2 hours with me. I hope this audiobook has helped you see English in a new way, not as a subject to memorize, but as a language to experience. Remember the core ideas of the English Ear method. Listen for meaning, not every word. Think in pictures instead of translating. Hear phrases, not isolated words. Practice a little every day. Be patient with yourself. Trust the process. One day, you'll look back and realize that English no longer feels like a foreign language. It will feel familiar, comfortable, natural. Until that day, keep listening, keep learning, keep believing in your progress. Your English ear is growing stronger with every conversation you hear, and every time you press play, you're taking one more step toward confident, natural English. Thank you for listening. I wish you success, confidence, and joy on your English learning journey. Until next time, happy listening and keep training your English ear.